There we go.
All right. There we go. We got it working. Or at least looks like we got it working. All right. Well, I'm waiting for it to confirmation on the YouTube side of things before I say hello to everyone. There we are. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the live stream this week. We had some, going to deal with some technical glitches this week, I bet. And we were lucky enough this week to have a special guest, Mike from Mike's Solar Garage. I think, did you change the name? Wasn't it Mike's Garage?
It used to be Mike's Garage when it was automotive, and when I switched over
Ah,
to solar, then became Mike's Solar Garage. So, yep.
ah, I don't remember. I didn't realize it was Mike's Solar Garage. For some reason, I was thinking it was Mike's Garage. I got the. Anyway, it's good to see everybody, and I know we always get a little bit of a sketchy start here, and then people start showing up. So we'll just kind of spend some time and talk a little bit, and then we'll get into it. We're going to go over this week. We're going to have this cool show where we're going to talk about how we got our starts and some of our first systems, and really what kind of thrusted us into this wonderful world of the solar systems. And it sounds like a lot of fun. Me and Mike, we met last week on the telephone. This is our first real face-to-face also, so we're hearing it as soon as you're hearing it. We just both thought it would be a really cool idea to get together and talk a little bit about it, maybe do some collaborations, and this is a first of those. Hopefully there'll be more, but we'll see where it goes and how it goes on. How about you, Mike? You have anything special going on this week, or anything you want to talk about starting off while we get things warmed up?
Well, had myself a fantastic weekend. So, as I'd mentioned, my channel started out as automotive. So I spent the weekend working on two different cars in the household. So my wife and I have a little bit of property. We've got 6 different vehicles, and I'm always tinkering on something, which is probably how I got involved in solar. Always wanted to tinker, but ended up doing AC work and a tune-up on one of my wife's vehicle, and then did an exhaust system on my F-150. So all of that in 2 days, got that done, and
Yeah.
now it's the weekday, and now time to relax a little bit.
Yeah, time
Such
to
a thing.
relax. I had a busy weekend too. I know, I don't know if you know this, but one of the big projects I have coming up is I'm taking my wife's coffee trailer off grid. And that's quite a challenge because you're talking about espresso machines, coffee pots, warmers, blenders, the whole bit. So it's a pretty big build out, but I'm doing 3 of those. Actually, that little orange Pikachu behind me, I'm doing 2 of those in parallel to run it. So I use a 7,200 watt generator, but it's split phase. So when I combine them, I can get 6,000 watts.
Right.
I think I can run the whole thing out of it. So it'll be pretty cool there.
That would
And
be
looks
neat.
like,
And
yeah.
battery wise, what are you doing?
So it looks like the need for to run it is somewhere between 10 and 12 kilowatt hours to run for a good time, and that's without any solar. I put meters on it, so I use the standard, 220 meters on the inverter generator, and just let it run the whole time I did a show, and it came up to between 10, 12, sometimes 15. But I'm going to put 15 kilowatt hours in there, but I've also got 800 watts of solar on the roof. So between the two, I really shouldn't have any problems. But today, I spent the day doing all of the problem is I want to be able to, when I go to a show, a lot of the times I have 220 outlets available. And so if I have a 220 50 amp outlet available, I want to be able to use it. But the complexity there is, and this is the one thing I'm going to have to check now, do I need to run I've got both of them. I've got the first one all hooked up and everything, but when I go to hook up the second one in parallel, I was going to run one off of L1 and one off of L2. That way they would both have bypass. They both could do charging if I wanted. They both could handle, everything the way they need it. But now I'm beginning to wonder, if I do one on L1 and one on L2, will it cause me problems when it parallels them, or should I run them both off of an L1 or both off of L2? I really want to do one on L1 and one on L2 so I get the 50 amp bypass. But now I just got to thinking, just about an hour ago, I'm finishing the last connectors, and I'm thinking, will this actually take the if it does bypass and I have L1 and L2 go into the same leg because it's blended
Right.
in parallel, will I see a big puff of smoke? And I don't know. So that's something I got to find out before I do that. We got a couple of comments here. We got, oh, good, this is actually
Yep.
working. Simplicity, watching from SVG in Caribbean. Oh, the Caribbean again. Thanks. Welcome back. We saw you last week. I think you were here on that one too, Mike, weren't you?
And I know Jeff
Good.
B. Jeff, thanks for joining.
Hey, Jeff. There you go. Evening, Jeff. Good to see you. Welcome back.
I'm just curious, could you use a chargeverter? And in that way, if you have a 240 to plug into, you just plug it into an outlet that connects to the chargeverter. It keeps your batteries charged, and then no matter what, it simplifies your whole setup.
I can, and I actually had the chargeverter set up to it originally. But the problem is that I don't want to. A lot of the times when you're at a fair, you're there for weeks on end, and it just sits there, and you're just plugged in, and you just operate, and you have water connections, you have sewer connections, you have power connections, and so I was
Right.
hoping that in those cases I could just plug it in and not worry about it. I may end up doing that just to do it anyway, which is what I had hooked up. But I kind of still like the idea of the power goes off and the system's still there, and it's really running on the solar all the time. I don't know. I can always hook it up on L1, L2, just turn the charge rate down. And that way, no matter what happens, it fell over. 50 amps would still be more than enough to run anything when I wasn't around, even 50 amps on one leg. So that shouldn't be a problem. And then if I put the charging at, let's say, I could even do zero charging on one and put all charging from one side, because I'm not going to charge at that crazy rate anyway. I have no reason to. Unless, of course, I hook it to a generator to charge it. Now, that might happen when I'm in the field. But then if I'm doing generator, the chargeverter makes even more sense, because I'm going to want to be able to set that precise amount to suck, the generator at 80%, so I get the full efficiency out of it. So, oh, I just got two sets of comments going. That's what I'm saying. There you are. You're welcome, Jeff. And so that was my weekend. I set that up. I got the first side done. I got all the wiring set up and everything for it, and got everything off grid. And of course, I had to do the DIY battery, which I don't know if you saw that. I moved that out of the RV and put that into the solar shed so I could use the EG4 batteries in the coffee trailer, because I want those to be removable, because sometimes it's months between big events where we're in convention centers and stuff, like we're at Dragon Con and we're there at Dragon Con for a week, or we're at a fair like we were at the South Texas State Fair a few weeks ago when we were there for 12, 15 days in a row. Well, there's no reason not to have those batteries in the shed at that point. So we'll see. On a bright note, though, I did get notification, as we talked about last week. I did get notification from a delivery company coming Wednesday. So you'll know what that's about.
Nice.
Big surprise coming for everybody. So
I just had a few last week and took my excavator several trips to move all of it. So
yeah. Well, but when he said they say it's the LiFePro 4 batteries is what he said to me, and then he's made it sound like there was a bunch of boxes, and I'm thinking, okay, and I thought this was a single unit. I'm wondering now if it's a build unit, which even all the better.
Okay.
I would even be thrilled if that was the case, but I don't know. We'll see, because I don't know in that case that type of battery why would it be in multiple boxes? Unless, of course, there was one big box and a bunch of just parts in another box. That could be
accessories or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? Anyway, anything else going on in your world?
I think we could probably ramble for hours talking about a bunch of different things. We should probably get on topic. Otherwise, we're gonna.
Yeah, let's do.
Don't lose
Let's get on
everyone.
topic, and we'll start that by just letting everybody know. This is Mike from Mike's Solar Garage is here this week. There'll be a link. I think there already is a link in the description below. You can check out his channel. He's got this really cool set of systems. Great channel. Lots of good content. In addition to, obviously, don't stop watching this channel, but he's got some really good home systems and garage systems and stuff like that. He's a really good guy, which is why. When we started to connect, I pushed for him to come on, and then he showed up last week at the live stream, and that was the catalyst that started everything, that kind of got it all moving. So I'm thrilled to have you, Mike. I really appreciate you coming by and spending some time with us, and hopefully it'll lead to even bigger and better things in the future. But if not, at least we have the fun of talking this week. So what we're going to talk about this week, and I'm going to let Mike start, is we're going to start off by talking a little bit about how we got our start into solar, and then what kind of systems we built the first cases, and what was the catalyst that really got us there. And for me, that's really the important part. Everyone kind of catches a bug every now and then, but usually there's a single catalyst that pushes you into it and makes you realize, hey, you need to do this. So I want to know what was your trigger, and where did it come from? And I'll let you get it started. And please, everyone, if you are online and you have a question, feel free to ask. Don't hesitate. Put the comments in there. I'll pull it up on the screen. We'll make sure we handle everybody's questions before we go anywhere.
Well, Matt, first, thanks for inviting me. Extremely happy to be on the channel, and yeah, this should be fun and educational, and hopefully we have many more. So my background in solar has been going on for quite some time, and I didn't get serious until about 2 years ago. But my first solar setup, I was living up north in Illinois, and was just looking for a backup to the sump pump. You would have those rainstorms, and if the power went out, then that sump pump would stop. I had a basic battery for it. Most people have that Watchdog lead acid battery, and it worked okay. But I wanted to make sure that I had something a little bit better, and also to have some lights if the power went off. So I had, I believe it was 2 lead acid batteries plugged into an inverter with some fuses and heavy gauge wires, since it was a 12-volt system, and had a couple of lights in it, and it would back up the sump pump, and we'd have lights if there was a storm and we needed to go into the basement. And that was all that I needed. When I was in Illinois, the power was rock solid. I mean, in the Midwest, at least my experience was the power never really went out. And Matt, what you kind of alluded to is everyone has a catalyst that makes them get into solar. And mine was when I moved to the East Coast. So we moved out here probably about 4 years ago and built the house. And what I noticed is every 4 to 8 weeks, we have a power outage. And I started out with power station, portable power stations. I had one to run the fridge, one to run the freezer, and then I picked up a few more to run, small AC systems, just in case it was hot out. We needed to do lighting or whatever else that it might be. And one of my buddies, Jeff, out of California, he had a EG4 12,000 XP. And he introduced me to EG4 as far as their products, and talked me into getting the first one. And I started, backing up my shop with power. So my shop started with a single 12,000 XP, which quickly became 2. And then my wife gave me permission to power the house as well. So you could see 3 12,000 XPs behind me. So inside of my shop, I have 2 separate systems. One is powering the shop, one is powering the house. The shop does not have a grid connection whatsoever. It is 100% powered by solar and batteries. And then the house is primarily solar with batteries. And on occasion, I'll switch over to grid to do maintenance. Or in the winter time, if it's bitterly cold and we get 3, 4, 5 cloudy days, I'm forced to switch back to grid. and kind of stay there for a bit and then switch back over to solar once again. But I guess to summarize, it comes down to not having reliable power more so than anything else. And I'm getting more and more into off-grid living. So now I'm kind of digging having my own power, and being able to do a bunch of stuff. So I might get back into crypto mining again. Um, I enjoy turning the lights on and leaving them on and not having to turn them off. That's kind of cool. And, just having extra power and not necessarily, concerned as much about the bill, which is kind of freeing to me.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's how I got involved.
And it's interesting you should say that, because I've got some similar addictions, I want to call it, similar love for the power. And it was funny because even just today I was out, and one of the things I left out of our original summary is I completely forgot about it, because it was like this morning at 7 a.m. I noticed the bit miner didn't run last night. And I'm like, why didn't the bit runner run and pull my batteries down? And so I went out and had to play with the when I had a fan go out. So got it running, but I'm digging having the extra 50 kilowatt hours a day to burn off in a bit for the sake of the fun of it, just because it's fun. Thanks to my wife, allowing me the fun of getting a bit miner for Christmas. So I'm enjoying it. And
so, are you running an S19 or what? Which one are you running?
I'm running the S19, Antminer S19, and I run it at the low power mode during the day, and then I shut off at the end, towards the end of the day, probably 5 or 6 o'clock when my batteries are at their fullest, but I know I'm not going to get too full. I shut off as early as I can so that I let the heat die down, because obviously I'm here in Central Florida. So by the time it gets to that point, it's, approaching 105 in the shed. And that's when I just want to kind of just let it chill a little bit. So I drop it off, and I probably, let me just see if I can make this work. Let me see if this works. Oh, look at that. So you can see here, you can see that, right?
Yep.
New software. Okay. So you can see here this morning when I was running a test on this is the solar, trailer test I was running when I was doing a charge on it to see what was going on, make sure it works. But you can see here, I took a break while it was charging right here and got the bit miner running again when I realized, hey, what the heck, why isn't the bit miner running? So it ran until just a little while ago, 6 o'clock, it shut off and left me at 50%, but I didn't really have much production today. I mean, it was really kind of weak production. Where is the production at? So we only ended up with 20 kilowatt hours today. I mean, you can see the sun was just lousy. But the nice thing is it was a little cooler for me to be out there working on the coffee trailer too. But I'll normally go in and run this pretty much all day long. It runs, and then you can see here there's usually enough power late at night where it starts back up and it just runs throughout the night, a big portion of the evening. Like this one here. This is the normal one where it comes on at midnight and runs depending on how much power I end up with left. And I've had problems lately with it acting flaky, and it was just shutting down for no reason. And I think it ended up being that fan. And then I have a little bit of trouble too when it gets a little humid outside. I'm going to have to build some kind of, I don't know, some kind of box around it to protect it from the humidity as much, the dramatic humidity, and also to vent that air a little bit better out of the shed so it's not sucking in that warm air, so it can get some cool air from fresh air from outside. But I just started playing with it just a few months ago. And I use solar assisted to, with a nice relay system on the 220 outlet for it that turns it on automatically, shuts it off automatically. I like the automation part of it, because for me, it's going to be the fact that when I lose interest in it, I don't want for it to just stop. I want it to keep on mining, and once I lose interest, hopefully I'll have the automation to the point where I don't have to worry about it anymore. But it's just a side project. Good way to burn up a lot of solar energy. And we have, I guess that's Pavan02. Hello and welcome. Glad to see you too. Welcome to the channel. Glad to have you. We've got Mike from Mike's Solar Garage online as a guest this weekend, telling us about his system. So we'll kind of take a few minutes, and I'll tell you a little bit about my start. I got a start where I truly wanted to just get out of the house, and I'm an engineer, and I was working from home. I had spent months and months and months doing the job during the day and going to school at night in order to get my degree. And I did both because it was COVID, but I was working god awful number of hours every day. And I just told the wife, I said, we got to get out of here. Let's just buy an RV and let's disappear. I'm remote. We can do whatever we want. We'll get a Starlink and we'll just vanish. That brought me to the idea of, well, if we're going to vanish, maybe we should do it with, a little class. Go, boondock a little bit and go stay on some beaches. She loves the beach. So we were like, well, we'll go down to the Texas where there's some free beaches and stuff like that. And I had gotten into watching a lot of the YouTube channels on RV traveling and RV life and stuff like that. So we got the RV, and then the day that we went to Connecticut, we did a show, big show where we stayed out in, our first off-grid experience. We stayed in the parking lot off in the Mohican sun for a week, and it was flawless. Never had a problem with the system at all. Matter of fact, you couldn't even tell you weren't plugged in. I mean, honestly, it was just fantastic. Short of being careful with water, had no problems whatsoever. And my wife likes to have the air conditioner at 60 degrees at night when she sleeps too. So we're not talking about we were living and skimping, with a solar, with a battery, and just using lights and stuff. And we were full-fledged off-grid and really, truly doing it. But the idea is that we drove back, we parked the RV, and there was a hurricane coming. And I don't remember if you remember that hurricane back a few years ago that blew across Florida. It basically went straight across. Well, that was the hurricane. And we had just gotten back, and I was like, I don't want to leave again. Let's just park the RV down in an RV park that we have that was down towards the down towards our store, because we had a coffee shop over on Cocoa Beach. So we parked it down there and we went home, which is about 10 miles inland. So we're inland and the hurricane hits, and it is just a wreck. And I don't mean it was a wreck. I mean, it was bad. We lost power for 10 days. The only saving grace I had was that I had the generator for the coffee trailer and a coffee trailer on the premises. And so I had that. Now, I was extremely lucky because I was preparing for a big show that we were going to, and I needed ice. So I had packed the freezer, a deep freeze, in the coffee trailer, believe it or not, with 300 pounds of ice. And the hurricane hits. Now, I'm just sick to my stomach because the trailer, the RV that's off-grid, that's on, and I can see it because the Starlink is still reporting it's on and it's collecting power. Everything's operating. The air conditioners are running. I have full control through my home assistant, everything. I'm just sick at my stomach because I can't get to it because there's 2 feet of water around it. It's flooded there, but of course it's a fifth wheel, so it's up off the ground. So it's perfectly safe, but it's an oasis in the middle of a flood. And it was on an island. It was on, like Merritt Island, and that part of the island, the surge raised above ground level 2 feet up. So it was ocean water covering the entire island at that spot. So I'm sick at my stomach because I've got an off-grid system. I can't get to it. It's completely, I had lived in it for a week, so I knew I was capable of doing it. I had just started thinking, what would be really cool is when we go to fairs, if I could just park the trailer, and between days, when you're at a fair, usually if you're there for 10 or 12 days, then you need to have refrigeration. And the only alternative you have is when the fair shuts down, the generators shut down. And that means you have no backup power. So I thought what would be really cool is if I could just keep the basic refrigeration running with a solar system. So I had just started ordering a couple of cheesy little basic components to kind of see what I could wing together. And that I turned into, during the hurricane, a system to keep the ice frozen, and we used the generator. And I was able to, the 4 days in after the hurricane, I found a gas station and I filled up and got 40 gallons of gas. I was the only one in the neighborhood that had power 10 days in. Everyone
Wow.
was dark. It was horrible because there was no, when your power goes off, everyone thinks when the power goes off, oh, that's okay. You get your cell phone and this and that. No, you don't, because the cell towers have a 2-day battery in them also. And when cell phone towers batteries die, you have no cell phones. When the cable company's routing equipment goes down after their 48-hour backups are gone, you have no internet. So you have no internet, you have no backups, you have no nothing. It was just horrible. So that was the catalyst that got me in, and that was my second system, but technically my first real hands-on system. And from there, I made up my mind it would never, ever happen again, that I would never get stuck in that situation. And that led me to where I am now. And we've got a ton of comments out here that I haven't been paying attention to. So I'm going to go back and we'll say, go back and talk to a few of them, and then we'll come back to this. NSB, he's one of my regulars. Hey, NSB, hi, I'm glad to see you. And Slicer, I'm doing my first solar cart on a 3-shelf metal cart from Harbor Freight, and I think of gluing magnets to the back of the components to be able to move them around on the top shelf as I learn. I don't know. The idea of being able to move the components around, I'm one of those that I like, if you've ever watched any of my little cart builds and stuff, I like screw everything down to a piece of plywood or something because I'm afraid the wires are going to come loose and cause problems or everything. You ever built anything like that, one of those carts, Mike?
So I actually have a cart that I built. It's pretty much done now. Need to make a few improvements on it. It does have a thick rubber sheet at the bottom. So the inverter and everything sits on that, and it keeps it stable. All the fuses and everything else, that's screwed onto wood on the side. So all of the wiring and all the cabling. But the inverter itself weighs 60 pounds, and on a rubber mat, it's not going anywhere. But yeah, the cart builds are fun. So the one that I built is split phase. It'll do 6,000 watts continuous, 18,000 peak, and it is transformer based, so it's good for a
Yeah,
welder.
it's 6,000, 18,000. It's got to be.
Yep. And then I also have a Victron MPPT, and I can put a ton of solar into it. And yeah, so it's pretty close to being done. Need to get the airflow right, because I need to make sure that it does get enough airflow to keep the unit cooled off. It's one of those inverters that is not really meant for outdoors in high humidity, even though I'm kind of using it in that fashion. So ventilation is key, and try to protect it as
Yeah.
best I can from the elements. But it's a project. Essentially, on my property, I've got a very large ditch between myself and a neighbor, and it fills with water, and I collect it to keep the water from washing out my property. So the solar cart is really going to be used to connect to a big electric pump to kind of divert the water if it needs to be done so. And I've got it's 48 volt. I've got 5 kilowatts of battery, and I can expand it to 10 in the cart. And I think it's going to work quite well for those high rain situations, to where it can power everything and keep that pump going for 24 hours, no problem, and even
Is that
longer if. Mhm.
that's one of those that you just, when it rains and you have the need, you just take it out there and plug it in, so you can use it for other things during the rest of
Oh,
the time.
absolutely. The other thing
Yeah,
too
that's
is, if I
cool.
want to weld something anywhere on the property, I mean, just connect the welder or whatever that I need to
Yeah.
connect, 120, 240, and it's just portable power. The other thing too is, let's just say that the power's out and I have a neighbor that needs power. If I have 2 batteries in there, 10 kilowatts with a 6,000 watt inverter, that can keep your lights on for quite some time. Much better than a power station.
Oh yeah, much better. And even if you do end up going to the generators, it's much better to have the to charge the station than it is to use the power directly out of the generators, because then you can't really take the efficiencies of it. So it looks like he's thinking of magnets in the back instead of screwing down to plywood or concrete board. Uh, I don't know. I don't.
I'd mount it. I
Yeah,
would
me
mount
too.
it.
It's an
You know,
interesting
because
idea, but I because maybe with some
it
of those
is
really strong magnets, but I don't know what the magnets would do to the
the
inverter
electronics.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would scare me if they got strong enough to actually hold it in place. What would happen to those more sensitive electronics inside the inverter? Um, might
Right.
these little screw with a little of those? I don't know. I don't know enough about that to really say, but it would scare me. It'd worry me. But great idea, Slicer. Love to hear about it when you get it a little bit further along. Jeff, interesting Slicer battery and inverter. Let's see if he follows up with that. I have two 300 amp hour batteries and got off marketplace. I'm going to run it in 24 volt.
It's
And
a
I'm
lot of
assuming
power.
that's two 12-volt batteries or two 24-volt batteries at 300 amp hours. Probably two 12 volts, and I have one big 24-volt battery. And 2K inverter.
The June Paw. Yep. I
Yeah.
tested that one.
Did
Actually,
you?
no, it was the 3,000 watt version. I tested that. Yeah. Decent inverter. Works quite well. Only when you get it to the very peak of its output does it start to fall on its face. The sine wave starts to distort, but below its max, it's decent.
Didn't like the push. And there's a lot of them that don't like the push, that don't hold it real well. They start getting little glips in there, up there at the top.
Yeah,
And
the
Jeff
uh, the
says, cool.
12,000 XPs, I did a video on that recently, and so it can put out 12,000 watts, and I think I had it at 12,200, and it was beeping that it was going to shut off, and was able to look at the sine wave before that happened, and was able to reduce the load before it actually did shut off. But it was a perfect sine wave at max power.
Nice. Yeah, and that's one of the things I've been starting to look at a lot closer when I do inverter testing, is watching that sine wave under different tests. And I've noticed that a lot of them, they don't like that. They don't like the instant things kick on. They really have a
Mm-hmm.
problem with it. It gets really dirty really fast. It cleans up pretty quick, but that short few seconds on some of these big refrigerators and stuff can do a lot of damage. You'll hear that
Yeah, that
grind in them.
that voltage drop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soft starters are good to use as well. I got one from Signature Solar that I've got to install. But from everything that I've read, even if you're using grid power, by putting in a soft start, you're going to extend your AC life or heat pump, like I have a heat pump, by 25% or better.
Is it
So
that
not
high? I
only
mean,
is
I
it,
knew it had to
yeah,
be, but I wasn't sure it was really that
yeah.
high. That's wonderful to hear, though.
So by
I
using
was,
it, not only is it easy on your inverter, but it is so much better for the compressor.
yeah. The way those soft starts are designed, it just makes it, the startup process is just so much less stressful on the equipment all the way around from the beginning to the end. I mean, you don't have that big insurge in there and that pull in there. Where was I at? Two 425 Tesla panels from Marketplace, also $70 each. Oh, nice grab.
Nice.
And a power emister. Pow Mister. P-O Pow Mister. I say Pow Mister. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation or not. 212 volts. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Uh-oh, NSB, you made the move. You finally did it. I bought a 250 100 VE PPT to add to the second string of my Sun Gold can't see that. Oh, there it is. Second string as a sun gold SRNE inverter, and I can't figure out how to get both to work with one smart shunt. Why not? Huh. You have to tell
It
us what
might.
the problem is, NSB. The
So I
shunt.
know
Oh, to
with
read
the,
this, both of them read from the smart shunt. Oh, I get it. Okay, go ahead. Walk.
so with the Victron smart shunts, they are for one way reading. So when you install it, let's just say if it's between your battery and your inverter, it's going to read whatever's going across, but it's not meant to do the opposite. So then if you're charging the battery, going that two-way communication, that if you read up on the Victrons, they kind of recommend against that, that you really want it to be for one direction. So that might be why it's not working the way that that you want it to. One thing that I am curious on NSB is that that SunGold slash SRNE inverter. I've heard a lot of good things about the
Me
SRNE
too.
inverters. They, from everything that I've read, they are very solid. I don't know EG4 or SRNE, which one is better or what have you, but I've heard a lot of good things about them.
The big difference that I've heard about them is in reliability and performance. They're both really strong. But the only real big difference that I've seen between them is the SRNEs are basically, you ordering them directly from China. That's what you're going to get. And EG4, as you know and I know, and we both
Yep.
probably had cases where when something goes wrong, they're there. Those two companies, they step up. At least they
Well,
have in any cases I've had with them.
and that's the thing, is that if you have, say, an inverter power in your house, because a lot of my subscribers and yours are probably the same, that they're mostly off grid or some are completely off grid. And if that inverter goes down, that's that's a pretty big deal, and you want to make sure you get a replacement pretty quick. So that's one of the neat things about where I get mine from, is that if one went down, they'd probably ship one out, and then I can ship the old one back in that box, but at least I can get back up and going.
And then that's what happened to me. I had a 6000 XP, which is very rare to have one of those have any problems. But I had an ongoing issue that I didn't even realize was there. I was traveling a lot, hitting beaches, as we talked about earlier, and me and the
Mhm.
wife were hitting just one right after another. And I noticed that occasionally in the early morning, when the dew point would hit, that it would, the MPPTs would just kind of cut off. And sometimes it was for 5 minutes. Sometimes it would just, they'd click off and then they'd click back on. And over a period of 6 or 8 months, it didn't happen very often, but when it happened, the gaps got bigger. And finally, one day they just shut off. And I called them and I basically said, "Hey, here's what's going on, but I'm on the road. I live off grid. I don't have a choice." They shipped that thing to me that day. I had it installed 2 days later and shipped it back in the
Mm.
box. I was just stunned. Not only that, but they got EG4 involved. They got, I mean, everyone. They jumped in to do hand over fist help. I couldn't even believe it, how fantastic it was. And then you mark that with something like that. But at the same time, that's the support. That's what you expect. That's what you would expect from an American company here, there in Texas, and that's what they talk about. Which is, I know that's why I'm one of their ambassadors. I'm sure I know you are too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard the 12,000 XPs and some of the other inverters are now made in the US.
Yes, they
So
are. That was
that
why
is
they did the
wonderful.
price cut on them.
Yeah.
Is because of the made in US, and they didn't get hit with as many tariffs. At least that's
Yep.
at least that's the
Well,
what.
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the whole spiel. Whether that's really it or not, or whether it's a good market grab, either way, it's a great idea. I mean, either way, it's just a fantastic thing to have them made here. Uh, Where was I? That was this one, right? That was
Mhm.
NSB's. This one. Oh, okay. So it's the 24 volt 3K one. I think we talked about this once before, NSB, didn't we? When you were shopping around looking for it. I don't remember. I remember looking it up then, but I don't remember it now. But anyway, how's it been performing for you? You having good luck with it? I've heard really good things about it.
Mhm.
Yes, we did. A couple months back, if I remember correctly. All right. Great comments from forum like yours is why I got to 12,000 XP V2 in my progress build. Wonderful. Jeff, I don't know if you're talking about me or if you're talking about Mike. I would assume Mike, since he's got like 15 of them hanging on the wall behind him.
So I've got a forum called windsolarforum.com, and it's a small forum. I think we have maybe 40 members on it now. So it is slowly but surely growing. So we have some pretty cool, conversations, and a lot of the folks in there will post their setup and their systems, and we kind of bounce things off each other. Today we were discussing crypto and some of the different miners, and I might have mentioned I'm looking at potentially getting back into it. Um, some of the newer miners that are out are getting wicked efficient, and they're set up for like a home type use to where they use less power. You can plug them into 120 pretty easy, or 240, but they're quiet, and the efficiency is starting to get there. So I'm thinking about doing it. I'm debating whether to keep them all in the shop and just use it there, or if some of these new miners are safe enough that you can put in the house and plug it in a living room with the quiet fan and produce some heat in the wintertime as you're mining. One company, I saw one that it looks like a floor heater, like the old fashioned metal radiators, um, similar to that. And you just plug it in and it puts off like 700 watts of heat, and starts mining crypto. So thinking about it, from what I've heard, some of the miners that are coming out within the next 6 months are really going to be focused on home, and to me, that's kind of alluring.
Yeah, I like the idea of those. I got one of those little bitty ones for my wife that just the idea
Nice,
of it. You're never going to hit it, but hey, if I do, I'll let you guys know from some beach somewhere.
nice.
Okay, so you got your start from it all with a well pump. I got my start with it all from a hurricane and the need to get the heck out of the house. It looks like both of us had that catalyst. And then the bug steps in. I warn people, warning, this is a bit contagious or a bit addictive, I guess is the appropriate word. But it's a
It
lot of
is.
fun.
It is. You can never have enough solar, and you can never have enough batteries. For some reason, you start collecting it, and it's the strangest thing. You're looking at the numbers and you're like, it was cloudy today and I made almost enough. I need to get more panels. Or you're going through 3, 4 cloudy days, or winter time. If I only had an X amount more batteries, then I'd be able to do this, that, and the other. So you're constantly adding things as the budget allows, and it definitely is an addiction. Um,
Like fun one, productive one.
yes, an electrical one. Yes.
Yes. And can be dangerous if you're not careful, but for the most part.
Well, and
There we go.
that's why
We have another
we
member to
try to
the
keep
addiction
it.
club here. Start off saying, "Hi, my name is NSB. I'm addicted."
So NSB, it's funny because I used to, when I was back in Illinois, I used to have a large reef tank, 3 tanks connected together. And I understand how much power that they use, especially if you're using like metal halide lights. It just uses a tremendous amount of power, for those antennic lights. And but yeah, I had a ton of different coral in it, and just an amazing tank. And unfortunately, I had a big crash, and I couldn't redo it again. I just didn't have the stomach. But yes, your fish tanks use an astronomical amount of power. So that's very cool to back them up. Oh, you're using T5s. Okay. Very nice. And you're using a combination of daylights and antennic too, like around 420 nanometers, I'm guessing. My apologies. I can get down the rabbit hole in reefs.
No, that's the cool part about the live streams is I love the interaction with the listeners and stuff. It's just my favorite part of the whole thing. If I didn't have the live streams, I'm not even sure I would make as many videos. I make the live streams so we have something to talk about when we're here. It's great fun. No, I really enjoy these guys. They're a good group. So what do you got coming up, Mike? What's your big next project, or what do you want your big next project to be?
So I actually have a bunch of products to review coming out. So I've got this hum sink here that I've got to test out. Right now, I don't think it's available, so I'm holding off on testing, but I've got a battery review test on that. And then I've got over here, kind of hiding in there, the EG4. It's a wall mount. I call these floor standing because I stand them up on the floor, but it's the 314 amp hour that I need to test that. And then wire-in batteries. I've got a wire-in rack, and then I've got 6 server rack batteries to test out for those. So definitely adding capacity. In some of my previous videos, I talked about how I didn't have enough capacity last winter. So this will rectify it. This will get me where I need to be and kind of feed the addiction for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It looks like the battery companies have decided that we needed to make more videos, because I'm in the same thing. I've got a 314 also coming. It'll be a good one. I'm hoping it looks like it's going to be delivered Wednesday, so hopefully that video will be out here the next week. And it's the watt cycle one, the new 314 wall mount watt cycle. So
that's right.
That's going to be a really nice battery. I'm interested to hear, to see what it is and how that's going to work. I've also got a new inverter coming out. It's an 8,000 watt, and I'm kind of pleased with it, because the idea is I may finish the solar coffee trailer with the 3,000 ones, and then I may pull them out and reinstall an 8,000 watt split phase, just because it would take up less room. But it's all going to come down to, can it perform? Because I know the Pikachus like this one right here, I know they'll do it. But if I can get a 4,000, an 8,000 watt split phase inverter to do it also, those Pikachus I could use in a lot of other things in a lot of places. So no, it looks like we've both got quite a bit going on. It's going to be a busy month. It was seems about this time of year every year they flood us with stuff, which is good. We get a lot of new stuff to show everybody, and a lot of new things.
And it's interesting with these new batteries, they keep growing and getting heavier. The server rack batteries, I'd gotten a bunch of those initially, and performance is great. Server rack is nice and clean. Now these large wall mount, and once again, I call them floor standing because they're on the floor. But, it's 314. That's a 300-pound battery. That's a heavy battery. And in my forum, there's a gentleman that is looking at the Panda 48 kilowatt hour. And, I kind of mentioned to him, just be cognizant of the weight because it's an 800-pound battery. So when you think about that, if you have an 800-pound battery, you're not getting it down into your basement. It's a heavy battery. If it's in your garage, then you're good. But these batteries are just getting massive in size. And I think the biggest that I'm probably going to review is going to be the 314s, and that's about it. Unless I'm building a battery from scratch, and you've got the individual cells. But some of these are just getting so enormous that it's just hard to move them. I mean,
some of those new MB56s are that is going to be a huge one. I mean, you almost have to assemble it where you want it. And
yeah.
I don't have an account here, so I'm going to have to get an account on your forums. So I'll definitely see you sometime tonight, but I wanted to show everybody what it was. It's young and getting a start, but there's conversations and good stuff. Looks like there's some good stuff out here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully we get some signups and get some people out there to visit it. Support the little guys here. So that's what we've got going on. It's been great. What is this? You'll get it down, but
he's talking about the batteries. If you get the Panda, the 48K that weighs 800 pounds, you can get it down, but you're not getting it. It's like a pool table at that point. You get a pool table, and then when you move, it stays with the house because nobody wants to move it afterwards.
I've got a 3-piece slate pool table, and I think I've moved it 4 times. And I tell you what, every time I consider doing exactly what you're saying. It'd be easier if we just left it here. And my wife says, no, it was an anniversary gift. You got to move it. And I'm like, oh man, I'll regret that gift forever.
The gift that keeps on giving. And how often do you use it?
I don't use it very often recently. I used to play a lot when I was a kid. When I was 18, 19, and I first moved out, I had a roommate. We had this apartment complex that was right behind the bowling alley, and we'd go over to the bowling alley. I'd go over to the bowling alley every night, and you'd put your 50 cents on the table, and you'd take my turn, and I'd just win. And then the challenger would always be the one that paid. So I'd go over and play pool all night and then just come home when I got tired. And so, but the thing is, it's one of those things that if you use it or you lose it. At that time, I was playing, 30, 40 games a day. And when you do that every day, you get good. Now I try to do stuff that I did back then. I couldn't line up anything anymore, I don't think. And I can't think that far ahead anymore. It's like playing chess. If you're going to do it, you got to do it a lot. You got to play it every day. You got to stay sharp or you lose it.
Yep.
So, Gary says, canceled my EG412K and bought an SRNE 16K for the same money. Yeah. Feedback's been good on them. It'll be interesting to see how warranty works with them. That's going to be the real question, because inevitably one of them, something always breaks no matter how good they are. It's electronics. That's the way world goes. But I think overall there'll be wins. It'll just suck for that one guy that doesn't have the win. There we go, NSB. Thank you.
Thanks for signing up.
I'll come out there also. I'll meet you out there. We'll share some stuff, talk about some things. I haven't posted on Will's in quite a while, and he's very strict on the and Will is the launcher of my thing here. I wasn't actually going to start a YouTube channel. I was actually a forum reader and avid forum writer on Will's channel. And when he hit 1 million subscribers, he says, well, I wish somebody else would do it. I said, challenge accepted. And that was when I started my challenge. My thing is the day he hit 1 million subscribers. So
wow.
That was kind of the catalyst that got me in. So I'll always have a great respect for Will. He's a nice guy. talked to him quite frequently about it, and told him, look, I'm not here very often anymore because you've got so many rules. I can't do anything without breaking your rules anymore. You know, I've I've got to have my channel and everything, and do my thing. So,
And his
but
forum is absolutely amazing.
it is.
I kind
It's
of
great.
started out with his recommendations. So for my shop system, the original batteries that I had bought were the lead time batteries that he had recommended. So that's how I started. But fantastic person, fantastic channel. I love the controversy with the Battleborn
I
batteries.
was
That
just about to
is,
say, what do you think about the Battleborn fight? That last response was just mind-boggling. I do not understand why they keep stating the same crazy things over and over. It just uh, anyone with any amount of logic can tell you that randomly shorting is not a good cutoff switch.
right, right. Yeah, no, that's, I mean, I get what they were trying to do to have like a bimetal contact. So if you think of like in a car, your turn signal is a metal contact that will heat up, you'll pop off, you'll go back and forth, and that's how your turn signal works built in there.
But you don't have them in
Um,
your car melting. They actually heat up and they
no,
turn
no,
off and
no,
then they
not
turn
not
back
not
on.
not melting through the
Right.
paste. Yeah, none of that. Hopefully not. Yes.
And in theory, I think in theory they it was a sound plan. The problem is real life and theory aren't necessarily always the same thing anymore. Or they've got some impurities in the plastic that it doesn't actually perform the way their original specs designed it to perform. One of the two. Either way, it's a huge disaster. I feel for them. It's because they
Yeah.
can't do a recall without going out of business, and they can't not do a recall without going out of business. I just don't see any path forward for them.
I mean, there's parts to the battery that's good. It does have good cells in it. I do like the cylinder type cells because if you have a thermal event in the battery, there's less of a chance of it propagating across. I've seen different videos puncturing prismatic cells versus the cylindrical cells. So that is good. Their disconnects I do not like. The other thing that I didn't like as well is if you look at it, they'll have like three different ring terminals stacked on top of each other for the different posts. I never like seeing that because there's always going to be resistance when you're stacking, that high. But
Yeah. Yeah, they could have gotten away with two, but the three is just too much. And yeah,
yeah,
I just think I have to respect Will for his hard, fast sticking to his guns and not backing down.
yes,
And
absolutely.
when he first posted the first video, I'm like, well, there went that company. And that was my comment to him. Is like, look, they can't call a warranty on it, and they can't not call it. They have to stand behind it, because if they do, no matter what they do, it's going to be damaging. But a warranty call on it, recalling all those batteries, I mean, and now they're finding it in even more batteries, and even more of their batteries have the same technology
Right.
to keep them safe, and it's going to be a disaster. It's very sad, but it's going to be a disaster.
It is, but I think what's the most sad is if your product has potential issues, and I don't want to, damn the company, then you would want to do the right thing. You wouldn't want to, well, let's see what our exposure is and then potentially make a decision based on the dollar amount that you might lose versus the price of just doing a recall. That's to me, that's a big thing. You want to do the right things in life, even if it costs you a little bit more, because it's the right thing to do.
I do, but I wonder if I had a company of that size. You wonder, and I'll give you an example. You always
Hmm.
wonder what you would do in a scenario like this. So I'll take you back a few weeks where we were at a fair in South Texas, and we got there in the one morning. I don't remember what morning it was. We'd probably been there for 4 or 5 days, and I'm walking in. Um, I'm walking in and I walk around the front of an automobile and I look down and there's a money bag. And I'm thinking,
Okay.
okay, the only people here at this point is the dealers. So it's got to be some dealer's money bag. And I always wonder, how honest of a person are you becomes the question. I look around and there's nobody in the parking lot but me because it's like early in the morning. And I reach down and I open the zip and there's a thing of a pill thing in there, the thing of somebody's pills, that Monday, Tuesday,
Hmm.
Wednesday type thing, and some
Right.
paperwork. And I thought, okay, the paperwork is obviously a contract. It looked like it was probably the contract for the fair. So I can get to whoever's name it is if I need to. But the pills will tell me whose it is. So I zipped it
Right.
closed. Now, keeping in mind, there was a stack of money in this bag about this big. And I didn't even look
Hmm.
at it because I was tempted. You're tempted. You look at it. If that's a stack of 20s, how much how much control do you really have? So I looked around and I'm thinking, okay, there's only 8 or 10 cars here. That means I can probably find this person if I move quick. And so I go running up and down the aisles to anyone's there saying, hey, look, when you came in this morning, did you have a money bag? And I got to this one table with these two girls and I say it and they both look at each other and then you see both of their faces just go pale. And they're like, you got it, right? And she goes, no, you got it. I said, okay, well, I found a money bag, but you need to tell me what's in that money bag that nobody else's money bag is going to have in it before I'm going to give it to you. And she says, my pills. And I went, yes, okay, here it is. I handed it to her. There was $8,700 in that money bag. $8,700. So I know I'm that kind of person, and I know
Yep.
I would want to do it. But the question becomes is if I did it, would I be giving up my company? Because we're not talking about a few batteries here. I don't know what Battleboard sales were the last couple of years. Let's see if ChatGPT knows. What is Battleborn's annual sales for, well, where am I typing? For
I think they do more than
2025.
just solar. They're in other industries as well.
Right. But the point is if they're so 16 million a quarter
Wow.
and 60 to 65 million for the full year. And how much of that is batteries? Because if total revenue 60 million, OEM revenues 36 million from Dragonfly Energy, and batteries sold was 43,000 units. Now that means that 25 million of their 60 million in sales last year is batteries. You get a recall of that size, you're gone. And that's why I don't think they'll ever admit that there's a problem. They may fix it, but I don't think they'll ever admit there was a problem with it. I think they'll come out with a statement in a couple of months that says, well, we have decided that we were going to engineer even a better solution, not the one we have is broken and we're coming up with one that works. They're going to engineer even a better solution. That would be my take. And I didn't know these numbers before I looked them up. So, um, oh, wow. It says, but please note that even with OEM sales being 36 million, 85 to 95% comes from battery rate related revenue.
Wow. Well, I think there's a class action lawsuit against them too, if I remember correctly. So that
Yeah.
might settle
Because
things.
their batteries are OEM batteries are also for RVs, trucks, and marines. So almost all of their business is batteries. Wow.
Wow.
Thor, Forest River, all the big manufacturers. Yikes. Which probably means a lot of them, because they run under Dragonfly Energy, is their
Okay.
OEM thing. But That's going to be that was my initial thought, was that no matter what they do, they can't admit to there being something wrong. They have to fight it.
I mean, I guess what they could do is extend the warranty. And I don't know what the standard warranty is on it, but maybe add X amount of years to it. And then that way, wink, wink, nod, nod. But we'll see what happens with the class action, because I think that's when the rubber's going to meet the road.
Yeah. And it could be, well, but you're right. If there's a class action, they could either do one or two things. They could either settle with a few people that get involved, but if a large portion of them get involved, they may be told to fix them all, which will just,
Yeah.
because that's 1 year sales. We're not talking about every battery that's in the warranty period could be recalled at this point. That could be, and I don't know what their warranty is, but I'll guarantee you it's going to be a good 5 years. So you're talking about annual sales for 3-4 years total.
Yeah. And how long have they had this design? That's the other thing too. Has this been out for 5 years? Has it been out,
It
2
was
years,
in
3
Will's
years?
original review. He actually went back and showed it and said, "Look, I did this original review, but I didn't catch this." His original review back
When was
years
that?
ago.
What year?
Oh gosh, let me think. What did he say? He said, maybe I can find the video. Probably not. Will has a bazillion videos, but I can try. Let's see.
Jeff, that's funny. He put in the comment feature, because that's what they said is the disconnect is a feature.
Safety feature. Yes, all of my equipment catches on fire for a safety feature and melts. Yeah, that's not good. Ouch. Yeah, I don't know if I can find it. Let me see. Oh, there's his channel. You always get in a hurry when you're online like this and you can't find anything, because then you don't take the time to actually just click on the few things that you need to click on. All right, so let's click here, and that gives me all of his videos. And then let's get this, and then we're going to search for Battleborn. All right, so I'm going back to, wow, he's posted a lot about this recently.
Yes, he is.
I hope these are actually in order. Yep, they are. Back a little bit further, back a little bit further. He's getting younger. This was supposed to be about Battleborn. I don't know why it's not filtering the way it's supposed to. Wow, Will got very young. Will, if you're watching this, you were very young many, many years ago, like us all.
He's still pretty young.
Yeah, he
younger
is.
than I am.
Yeah, he's younger than I am too. Okay, so here we're all the way back to the beginning, but it doesn't. None of these are actually have the Battleborn. But I saw the video. I was teasing him about it at some point. If I remember correctly, it was one of their 12 volters too, which I think most of theirs are anyway. Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm asking AI if it knows.
Come on, AI, come to the rescue here.
2019. February 8th, 2019.
February 8th, 2019. All right, so that would be 6 or 7 years ago. Yowza. So yeah, that answers that question. That's far enough back that it's going to be extremely painful for them to do any kind of warranty work. And that's 9 years ago. Oh, that's 7. This isn't in order. That's what's going on here, and that's 1 month ago. What the heck? YouTube's short and YouTube's filter is not working. Oh, 6 years. You know what? The sad thing is, it was the first video on the list. I don't even believe that. Let me see if I can get you. Let me see if I can show you where it is here. That's not the right screen. Let's stop that screen and let's add share screen. This one.
Yeah, Jeff, they are pretty expensive. Premium rates for sure for what they charge for them.
Yeah, so this was $950. And if you look at, and I'm gonna play it here. I don't know if the audio will come through or not, so I'll have to trust that you'll let me know.
Guess what we're gonna do today?
Can you hear that audio when it was playing?
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Guys, we are gonna rip apart a Battleborn, and
this is 6 years
I need to
ago.
use this though for the solar.
So we're going to forward here to the actual teardown so we can see it.
650 that's in the older Teslas or inside of
Right
lithium
there.
battery packs for your laptop. And there's a model number on the battery, but
so you can see from that image right there that it has the feature included with it, and this is 6 years ago.
And you see the stacked power cables on ring terminals.
Yeah,
on that left-hand side, which I just think is
over here they're all separate. Over there they're all stacked together.
Yeah,
three to a each. Very, very odd. Well, so that answers, that kind of gives us the in the nutshell, tells us the whole thing. Oh wow, guys, I didn't see all your comments. Let me see if I can go back to some of them here. I don't know where I was. I signed up. Also, NSB says, thank you, NSB. Jeff did too. Well, you're getting a few members tonight. Gary, was there a feature or other high power that made you decide to SRNE? Gary says it was a feature. Greetings from Australia. Glenn, welcome. Glad to see you. Thanks for coming. We're just out here talking now. Right now, we're just talking about Battleborn. We covered a little bit of history about where we got our starts and stuff and got bored. And we got bored with our own history and just started yakking. Not uncommon. Jeff says, welcome. Aren't they like $600 a pop? Let's see. Yeah, I like Mike's channel. On your last short about a lead acid battery with EG4 1200 XP, do you remotely monitor the bank? I think that's to you, Mike.
So to answer that, currently I don't. I'm trying to follow after what Will did. And what he said is build a system that's big enough and stable enough that you don't have to look at it. And it's that I now kind of look at the battery level maybe once every 2-3 days just to see where it's at. So I'll kind of move this down real quick. But like I'll go over to one of my batteries, like my Vatcher, and see where it's at. And I'm at 99% right now. So, you know, it's 8 o'clock and everything is still charged. So with it being super sunny out and warmer temperatures, it hits 100% around 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'll see it get as low as maybe 90%, late at night or early in the morning. It's not really dipping down more than 10, 15%. And the shop is pretty much that way. So in the shop, if I'm, leaving in the evening, going back to the house, and the batteries are still, 97, 98% or a little bit higher, I'll turn on a bunch of space heaters and just different loads to try to get down to at least 95% or lower. And in that way, it's not pegged at 100% all the time, because it's fine for your batteries to reach 100%. It's recommended that they hit 100%. So, the cells will balance, but you don't want to just stay at 100% all the time. You want to be able to keep it, under that amount.
So going down, he had another question here where he asked about, both of us asked about Home Assistant. Obviously, you just answered that for you, that you don't use Home Assistant. But I do, and I'll kind of give you an idea if I can figure out what I'm doing here. Hold on a second. Let me try this again. Stop that screen. This new software is throwing me for a loop, guys. So bear with me while I switch screens and learn how to use it, because I like it. There we go. So I do use Home Assistant. I use Home Assistant for everything. As a matter of fact, when I left town, just being in my RV, I had removed my Home Assistant and moved it out of the RV and into my house. And I'm considering putting it back in, just because I missed having the stats and everything. But I keep it, I build little screens like this, little status screens like this, just for like test. Like right now, I'm doing a bunch of tests on 24-volt stuff. So I have all of the 24-volt stuff listed here, and the batteries, individual cells and stuff listed here. It's more for me. It's not that what Mike says I disagree with, because I agree. Your primary system for your main operating of things like that, I absolutely agree. You should just build it where it's stable. You don't have to worry about checking it. A lot of this is for me monitoring things and automating things for running bit miners and running tests on batteries. And like I've got hookups here to transfer over the start charge inverters and transfer over all the power on the test systems over into the main system and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I do that, but I don't really use it the way that a lot of people would use it. I don't take it and say, I don't take it and make my life around the stats and build all these fancy pages and use it that way. I use it because it's the easiest way to collate all the data into one place. So I'll have a variation of Solar Assistant, so I can get all of my data out of my inverters, 6000 XPs or the 300 EHVs or whatever inverter it is. The Solar Assistant can extract the data from there. And then from there, I can pull that data into here. And then from here, I can link into, I think I can also show you, that's good. I can also show you. So one of the add-ons that just came out that's been really fantastic is they just added this new Victron MPPT integration. And it basically allows me to connect directly to the servos. And so like the test system, now I have connected on the servo system here, where I can just go in, I can look at the shunts, I can look at the chargers, whatever panel setups I've got, I understand what they're feeding in and that kind of stuff. And then I've got the main solar shed also, because I also feed it not only through the 6000, but I feed it through a couple of the Victron shunt. But that allows me to merge all that data back together over here, and to see all of my different PV coming in from all the different places in one thing. So I can say, okay, this PV feed from MPPT1 on the 6000 is here. The MPPT on my test system today, let's say this one, I just put some new panels on this one today, and it allows me to see it. So for me, it's more about collating the information and having it there to what do you want to call it, to monitor what's going on with my testing and that kind of stuff. That's what I kind of use it for. And then, of course, a lot of you want to use Home Assistant, Solar Assistant. So I end up making a couple of videos about that, about how to configure them. And I got a few of those, but I use it for that. And then historical information. I find it really valuable and historically to be able to say, okay, what happened, is a system, something went wrong with a system. It's really useful to be able to go in there and say, okay, show me the exact load that was on that system when. I can zoom into any direct, any few seconds of a like today, I could go in and say, okay, if I wanted to see between noon and, let's say 12:30, I can go in here and see, all my exact usage during these moments in time. So for me, it's about information, and it's about being able to analyze it and report and create reports and make good content and have good valid tests. That's what it's about. Not so much about obsessing about. Now, that said, for the first 4 or 5 months, yes, I obsessed on it also. I think we all do.
Yeah, I think we all do. I do have Home Assistant. I'm not doing too much with it yet. I have a pretty cool plan of what I'm going to do with it, and I have the parts. It's in a box. I just need to put it together. But essentially, I'm going to have a circuit that is connected to the batteries to read the voltage, and from there be able to turn on different Shelly smart plugs based on the voltage of the batteries. So instead of using, my 12,000 XPs, the smart load on it, I'll be able to use the Shellys, have smaller loads that I can turn on based on battery percentage. And that
I do a
way,
lot of that with the Shelly devices. They're really
okay,
reliable,
you know what I'm talking
more
about.
so than, yeah. And you can link in. So and then I can show you a few of them. So you can link in a lot of the devices like that ones you were just talking about. If I go down here to Shelly, I don't have as many here in the solar shed as I did in the RV. In the RV, I had it all hooked up. All the lights were hooked up, and even on the 12-volt lights, which was kind of cool because you can have the 12-volt and 24-volt play together, and it even works with 220-volt. Now, obviously, I wouldn't pull very many amps to a 220, but you can use it as a relay. So, like the bit miner, I have a Shelly, and if I go into this one, I can actually turn this on, and the relay from the Shelly flips the relay, and it has a 60 amp relay that actually turns the 220 on. And that gives me real control over it. So I'm not actually powering it through the Shelly. Now, there were some that I did use in I don't think I have any Shelly PMs here. Nope, these are just Shelly Pluses. So in the RV, I have Shelly PMs, and those are actually meters in addition to uses. So instead of putting in like here, I've got it linked also into the Reflux, which is basically a home monitor with CTs that you go into your panel and you connect up all the monitors and stuff like that. And so this allows me to monitor, the every single circuit in my main panel of my house. I can monitor through here. But the Shelly allows you to monitor individual plugs or individual light sockets or flip lights on or off, and then monitor the power also. And those are really cool. I use those on the mini splits in the RV. Instead of having to have the switch, it was just the monitor, which was great because I could look and say, okay, this air conditioner is using this much. And obviously in an RV, the two air conditioners accounted for, 60%, 70% of the usage. Without those two, the system needed to be half the size that it was. So I use it quite extensively. And as you're talking about, there's also a lot of other devices that are really good. You can get into, there's the ESP ones, which basically I've hooked up Victron before they had all these cool plugins here, where you could actually plug into the Victron ports and read the data directly from them. I might still have one of them here. I do. I still have this is an ESP that has a little Victron plug connected to the right pins, and you just program the ESP, and it connects wirelessly and reports the data. I don't think it's still running. Oh, it is still running. Look at that. I didn't realize this was still hooked up. But this is basically a wireless device plugged right into a Victron device, as opposed to going through that other Bluetooth one. But in the last couple of months, there's been a lot of really good not ESP. There's been a lot of really good Victron tools come out for Home Assistant, where you don't need to build all the DIY little electrical gadget things. Although I enjoy doing them, they're fun projects. Gives you a good chance to pull out your thing. I've played a little bit with the forecast. It has somewhat of a lack of reliability. Like today, it said we were going to have, let's see what it said. It said we were going to have 12 to 17 kilowatts. So let's go see what we actually ended up with. We ended up with 32. That's not today. That is today. No, that's 17th. We ended up with 20. So not too off. But a lot of that comes down to you have to go in and properly configure it. You got to tell it all your panels, you got to tell it all the angles, and you got to add them all together and all that kind of stuff. And this is I don't know if you played with the one in Solar Assistant. It's very familiar to the one in Solar Assistant. But there's a bunch of different plugins for that. So there's tons of options here. There's also some other devices that are really good, like the Groovy devices.
Yes.
And these have like the temperature controls. Like I can go in and see what the temperature is in my cabinet out there, which has all of my Home Assistant, my Solar Assistant, and all that. Now, I converted all of that out of 120 volts. I've converted all to pull from the 48-volt battery directly. So it either steps down to 12 volts, and then from there, it'll step down to 5 volts and have USB ports. And I replaced all of the routers. Everything 100% runs off the batteries directly now, so that when the inverter goes out, all my electronics is still there. I can actually say, hey, the inverter's out, and actually know it by not just lose access to everything. So I'm kind of heavy into it. I think that was more of an answer than he was looking for. That's what happens when you ask.
It's pretty cool. A lot of things that you can do with it. And I'll probably pick your brain on it. I think for me, using smart plugs to turn things off based on battery state to make mini dump loads, if you will. Like some of these smaller Bitcoin miners, will draw 500-600 watts, which I think would be perfect, to team up to a Shelly. I don't know if I'm going to want to pull 10 amps through a Shelly, 10, 12 amps, but I think, a smaller current, I think would be fine. And then the other thing is
they're rated for 15. Some of them are rated for 15 and some are rated for 10. If you get the ones that are rated for 15, I have safely pulled 10, but from the mini splits, but that's only when they're running at full steam. They usually are a lot less than that. They're usually 7 or 8, and I did it reliably for years. So they can. But also keep in mind, Shelly's devices are designed to be, not designed to be, they're designed to work for all the different voltages, but they're mostly for European use, which is the 250 volts. And that means your 12 amps is a little bit lighter on it than the 12 amps at the 220 volts. Amps are amps still, but you get my point. Right. It's a little bit easier on it. But I haven't had any problems with anything under 10 amps. If it's under 10 amps, then I use a relay.
Yeah. I thought it would be cool to have like a small light similar to like the Groovy lights or Groove lights or what have you, to where you can be in your house and check the charge of your batteries without doing anything except looking at the color of the bulb. If it's green, it's fully charged, and then it slowly goes all the way down to red, so you know it's depleted. So you never have to look at anything. What color is the bulb? Okay, I know where I'm at.
So you'll see. You saw that just turn on right there. That porch light on my shed turns on when the Bitminer is running. So all I have to do is just glance out the window, and you saw it just come on because I turned the Bitminer on so you could see the oh, there it goes. It's starting to ramp up. And this is what I use it for. I mean, I can sit here, I can do this, and when I'm traveling, because I'm out of town, a good number of weeks out of every year, and so this allows me to go in there and control it and see it and kind of understand what's going on, and to know when there's something wrong. I know I had Shelly devices are remarkably reliable to have been. But this here, these two here, these chargeverter ones, I use one of those inline plugs that you get from like Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
And you just plug them into the wall and then you plug it into it. Now it has a meter built in and it has a switch to turn it off and on. The switch part of it works pretty reliable, but the problem is that any little glitch in the power, and so if you're
Mm-hmm.
using some cheesy inverters as opposed to the 6000, like if they're plugged into the 6000, I never have a problem whatsoever. But if they're plugged into one of those, one of my little test systems somewhere, and the sine wave dips or something, a lot of times they'll lose their connection and they just simply won't come back. This one I know is off today, but that one is actually the coffee trailer. I've got it turned on because later I'm going to drain the coffee trailer down and find out what happens. When does it kick on? How does it kick on? Does it pull the right amount of amps? I need to test it and everything. So that's kind of my thing there. And then, of course, you can build in little switches. Like I can turn off and on the mining to say, hey, look, I only want all these rules to file. The automation is what's really cool. And what you talked about was the automation. That part of it is really cool. Because I've got one that just basically says, hey, if you see the amp miners on, turn the porch light on. If you see the amp miners off, turn the porch light off. And then I don't have to worry about any extra automation around it. It just automatically knows if the amp miner's on, turn it on. But if I flip this switch, all my automation for my amp miner shuts off, all my automatic turning on and off. And I'll do that a lot of times when there's really bad storms in the area. And I'm like, just leave my batteries full and leave me alone. I want to make sure I'm safe. But good answer. Hopefully, Pedvan, that answered your question, probably more than we needed to, but we enjoyed doing it anyway. Moving on to Jeff. Woohoo 9 Pickering 50? I'm not sure what that means. Jeff, I am not sure what you meant by that. Any idea, Mike? No.
I think I know what the word is between the 9 and the 50, but I don't know what it's referring to.
950. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know what the word in the middle is too, but I use his variation for it. All right, we'll just move on. And if he's still here, just let us know what we missed, or you can just ignore it and we'll pretend we didn't see it. As for the Panda battery, I installed one of my mother's house, all equipment in the garage, 32 kilowatt unit, and it was heavy but manageable with 2 people. Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. Dolly and a couple of extra people for support. Mike, you probably got more experience with them now than I do at this point. What do you?
So the
You
314.
go down to a basement, don't you? You're not lucky and have like a little just shed you can roll right into.
Oh, so for mine, it's easy. So I've got a 1,800 square foot shop with 3 bays, and whenever that I get batteries delivered and it's heavy, I use my excavator in the bucket to lift it up, and then I just drive the excavator into the shop and then put it down, and then open everything up. If I need to lift up a battery to get it upright, because these batteries are extremely heavy. Like I can't pick up a 300-pound battery myself. So I'll use one of my car lifts and attach a strap to it and then use that to lift it up and get it upright and straight. And then I just roll it into the chill area of my shop where I'm at right now. So
yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got one of those power forklifts things, but mine's in the shed in the back of the yard, and it's not gonna roll through that grass. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, it's heavy. They don't look that heavy till you try to move them, and and all of these
300
batteries,
pounds.
They have wheels on them, but it's not really meant to be wheeled on because they fall over very easily. So they're not very stable. So you have to be really careful. What I'd recommend, use a dolly. So like a 314 works perfect on a dolly, and you could just wheel it around, your Harbor Freight red dolly or what have you. That'll be perfect.
I think I'll have to lay some plywood down out to the shed and then roll it on a dolly around there. But it's going to have to be good sized plywood because at 300 pounds, even the wheels will go through the plywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although, you know, what I could do is it'll be on a pallet. If it's on a pallet, I can just use the pallet jack and roll it right up in there. I got a pallet jack I use for the coffee shows when we roll out our equipment there. That'll be
So
nice and easy.
it's going to come on, it'll be a small pallet, and then it will be in a crated wood box. And then
And
you
I'll just use the
pop-
pallet jack.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have to lay down some wood to get it up and around, but
Right.
you know.
Right.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see, Jeff.
Will's price.
The $950 battery, the Battleborn battery. Yeah, to believe it or not, they're not much different from that now, I don't think.
Yep. I'm curious what the price is now.
I'm looking it up myself because I remember thinking the other day when I was doing it that they're still pricey, but I didn't actually look them up.
And
Let's
just
see.
out of curiosity's sake, because this is a fun conversation.
$679.
Ooh. And what's the warranty? What's the warranty?
Hold on. Let me share the screen so everyone can see. Let me just say, stop this screen and add this screen. Wish it would let me add more than one screen, but it won't. Add that screen and then view this. Ah, look at that. All right, so I just did a basic Battleborn battery search, and this is the standard amp hour, 100 amp hour. It looks like it's pretty consistent. It's a little bit higher over here. That's Battleborn Direct. That's Battleborn Direct. I don't know what the difference is. But their standard price is still $999. $799, $849, $679. I did it. I just did it. I helped a guy with his RV back about a month before this happened with 4 of these here, and Will just found problems with them too. I'm just sick in the stomach about it. Willis, if you're watching, we need to talk.
What's interesting, you look at the price. I mean, it's 12 volt. It's 100 amp hour. You can get a 12 volt, 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery for $150 now, $180.
Yes.
I mean, you're paying premium.
Let me see what Amazon. Oh, excuse me. 100 amp hours, 12 volt lithium iron phosphate. First one on the list is $179.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, that doesn't count. That's a 150 amp hour. Whoops. 159. Down to the second one. Even the lead times are $329, but those have the fantastic build quality.
Yeah.
But these other 159, 279, oh, that's 2 of them. Nope, that doesn't count. The Chinese ones are super duper cheap. It looks like the and you can't see any of that either, can you? Nope. It's kept it on that screen. Well, at least when it says to share, it only shares what I. Oh, I'm going to have to get used to that. Maybe the pay version of this will allow me to replace the little StreamYard logo at the top and to share more than one screen. But either way, I wonder if I could change it right here. 100. I wonder. Let's try it. Let's just see if. Oh, that works.
There you go.
Okay, I can live with that. 100 amp hour YPO4. 175, 179, 135, 199. So the watt cycle's at 199. These are all the little Chinese batteries. The eco-worthies at 199.
That HQST one isn't bad. I did a review on one of those, 139.
What, this one here?
High quality solar technology.
That one looks like, that battery looks like the same. I bought 2 Chinese batteries when I first got involved with this. That very first, remember I was telling you the story about where I got my start and I built the coffee trailer. The very first battery I bought was like $169 or something, other than the EG4 batteries. And I bought it, and then the next day, another Chinese company put another one on sale, and it was $139. So I bought a second one. Believe it or not, when they came in 4 days apart from each other. They were made on the same assembly line on the same day, 4 battery serial numbers from each other. I bought them from 2 different companies with 2 different cases with 2 different labels. It's the craziest fluke I've ever seen, but they're really well balanced for cheap batteries. So 139. Yeah,
if you can scroll up just a moment, you see down just a little bit. There's an eco-worthy battery. A little bit further down.
This is the orange one?
Yeah, the orange one. So I'm actually going to be getting one of those. I think it's 12 volt, 314 amp hour. I'm talking eco-worthy right now to do a review. What's neat about that that case, it's not ABS. It's some other composite that is flame resistant. So with the ABS cases, they melt pretty easy, which why I did a video using concrete board to put the batteries on and having proper spacing and all of that, because those things can become a puddle if the cells go south. And what's neat about that eco-worthy is that flame resistant case. So I'm going to be tearing into one of those, and I'm debating if I want to take a flamethrower to the case and see what happens. Right now with I've got they sent me some documentation, and one of the things that they had in there, which I'm asking to have removed from the contract, because some of these companies have contracts when you do reviews, is that they have to allow you to post a video after they review it, and I don't do that. If I'm reviewing something, I'm just going to post it, good, bad, or otherwise. I don't give my rights to anybody.
I went to, and this is another thing that happened with me and Will, and I'm going to show it to you just so you know, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about that orange battery too, because I reviewed their 300 amp hour, the same one.
Okay.
So at the bottom of my page, I've got this product reviews and collaborations link here, and it basically just goes through and says, you have absolutely no rights once you give me the product. I'm going to say whatever I want to say. You have no rights. I'm signing no contract, nothing. And I do nothing until, if there's a fee that it's been paid, I'm going to post it and it's permanent. I will never take it down. Yep. And if they don't agree to that, I don't do any review. I never sign their contracts anymore. And this was because of Will.
Yep.
And so I stopped doing that about 4 months ago, and to be honest with you, it hasn't had any impact. I don't sign them anymore. I never, ever, ever give them those rights. Now, that said, the on that battery, the 300 amp hour battery that they gave me, it was exactly the same orange one. The features are freaking cool. I love the little percentage thing on the top. I love the I believe it had an off-on switch also, which was really nice. I like the ones with the off-on switches. The metal one from eco-worthy that is a really awesome battery, 100%. The only problem I had is their 300 amp hour battery. I couldn't get it to pull over 280 amps. It consistently pulled 280. So make sure you do a capacity check on it. Make sure it's actually getting you 314, because that was and I had to say it in the video and I had to review it. Other than that, the battery was awesome. And even for a 280 amp hour battery, it was a good price. But the case said 300 and I could not get 300 out of it, no matter what I did. And I redid all my testing with a whole different set of systems. And then I retested another battery that I had already done before to make sure that it was right. I wrote them and they said they didn't have a good explanation. So I let it go and I just put it in the video that it only performed at 280. But other than that, the battery's been fantastic. I mean, it's been running. It runs on that test that we were talking about earlier, those 24 volt tests. I have it and the 280 amp hour eco-worthy battery paired together running 24 and doing a parallel test. What happened? Not parallel, series test with the two of them to see how how what am I trying to say? How closely they stay balanced. And as you can see here, they're off a little bit,
Mhm.
65, 78. And then you take the two Chinese batteries, they're running the same test. They're on the same thing, and they're off about the same. So might not be too bad, but they've been going, I don't know, probably about a month now without going to a full charge. Because they get close and I turn on an inverter or turn on a charge inverter and drain them. So they're sitting at 57% based on the shunt. But that's the only thing I could say to you is make sure you do the capacity test, because it was a big one for me. It was the first one that I had that really just kind of didn't perform. And eco-worthy products are usually really, really good. I haven't had any trouble with them. And their
Yeah.
metal battery,
Yeah.
that one, holy crap, that is a good battery. Have you seen that one yet?
Which one?
It's a 280 amp hour metal eco-worthy, that one. This battery right here. That is
So,
the best battery I have ever reviewed, bar none. That battery is just fantastic. It opens up, you can get to all the cells, you can see everything, you can see all the wiring. That little rim around the top is basically, those are screws up there where you can just take the
mhm.
cover off. You can get to everything easily without tearing it apart. The build quality is fantastic. The performance was awesome. That right there is a little power button, and the Bluetooth works. And I think they've used a different BMS than they did before. But that was a really good battery. I was really impressed with that one.
Yeah, I like those golf cart style batteries. I've got a Watt Cycle and a HumSync. Both of those are metal case like that. They tested really well. The only batteries that I keep now are just metal cased ones.
Yeah.
I just don't trust the ABS. After doing so much research on that, and it's funny, I'm looking at the title right now of this stream, and it says mistakes, costs, and lessons. And one of them probably was going with ABS style cases. That would be one. But the other one is doing batteries in series again. I'll never do them in series again. So I've got for my shop system two 24 volt batteries in series, gives me 48, and I had 24 of those. And I could never keep them as well balanced as I could with like a single 48. There was just always differences between the batteries. And
Yeah.
as they get low, you're going to have some that disconnect, whereas the others still have 30% charge in them. And
Yeah.
I have two of them that died, that bricked.
I almost have to go back to using a balancer, a real balancer to
Yep.
when you do it that way, you put them in series, because otherwise that's exactly what I was waiting to find out what's going to happen on those in that Home Assistant is what
Yep.
would happen. I have a couple of 12 volt 100 ampers that problem showed up. And that
Yep.
was because of that stupid smart battery bug that they have out, which
Mm-hmm.
I know Will hates them, and I am with him. I cannot stand those smart batteries because they just
Yep.
don't act right. I had one, the test was running on that 24 volt the system that you're seeing there. It was linked in, the 12 volt battery was linked into the Victron. And I didn't realize is when I plugged it in so that I could see how it linked in, how all the communications and stuff worked, it also was controlling it. And when that battery started losing balance compared to the one it was paired with, and when it got too low, it shut the whole system down. It didn't shut that one down. It shut down every charger. It shut down everything, the whole thing, because of one battery. I'm like, oh. Now, if they all had been on comms, it would have just taken that one out of the thing. But it taught me a really important lesson that you're absolutely right. Don't, if you need 48 volts, get a 48 volt battery. If you want 24 volts, get a 24 volt battery. And if you're going to put them in series, you may have to think about doing something to keep them balanced, because it if one starts to fall behind, like it has in my example here, once they start to fall behind, well, what did I
They're
do?
not going to catch back up. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to catch back up. They never, because the system shows this charged when it gets to 100%, it's because this battery shuts off. And
Mm-hmm.
that one will never get a charge. And then when it discharges, they discharge equally again.
Yep.
And because the batteries are so, would have to be perfect cells,
Yep.
exactly matched. You're not going to get that, and especially in a 12-volt battery where you have 4 different cells in there, and it'd be worse
Yep.
in 224s, I imagine. So
Yep.
yeah.
Now the interesting thing is, and you can see behind me, I have different types of batteries. So these are 280. These right
Oops.
here are 100s, and then over on this side, that's a 280, and then this is a 314, which will be hooked up. And the thing is that if they are different amp hours and in parallel, it's not as big of an issue as you would think. You can still keep them in sync as long as you're hitting 100% every once in a while to kind of top balance the group of batteries in parallel. You're good. And with
Yeah,
mine, I
and
hit
they
100%
pull a
every day.
little out, but I've noticed that when they, like, I call it, one gets a little bit more generous with its power early, and then it gets
Yeah.
selfish with it towards the end. But that
Yep.
balances out, because when you go to a full charge, they all end up full charging. One may shut off a little earlier, and
Right.
then all the ones catch up. I've also noticed the same thing happens when they start getting low. They start balancing again too there, because
Yep.
you just end up with the different resistance within the batteries do it. But the other problem with they're in series, that one you can't
Yeah.
deal with. That one you have to
Yeah.
figure out a way to balance them. Let's get to these last questions, and I think I can't believe we've been talking for 2 hours. It seems like 2 minutes. Thanks for the reply about about overbuilding. I'm sitting at 30 kilowatts of battery power, and so I'm constantly checking the status. Love your setup and your home assistant. Yeah, the home assistant's a great tool. It really is a great tool. And to be honest with you, the obsessing, there's nothing you can do. Just give in to the dark side. They have cookies and everything. I mean, what else can you ask for? Mini skid steer. Yes, that was our battery talk about how we were going to get it back in there. Oh, wow. One is heated. One of your batteries is heated, I'm assuming.
That was when we were talking about Battleborn and the different price differences, whereas some were $679 and others were higher
Oh,
because some of the Battleborns were heated and others weren't.
yeah, that could. Yeah. They've been overpriced for a while, and I guess when they first came out, it was a normal thing, but it's just crazy now. Matt, did you see Mike's recent review on a 48 volt 150 amp hour battery? I'm sure I did. Let me go refresh my memory.
That
I
was
usually
the
do watch
HumSync one.
Mike's. Oh yeah. Uh, I see the picture, and it'll remind me of it. There we go. Let's see. HumSync. I just watched your winter test. That was interesting data. I didn't do an annual review. I should do one like you did. I like that. The HumSync, there it is. Oh, actually, that wasn't recent. That's like 5 videos ago. You know what? It shows I haven't watched it. I've watched everything else. I don't know why I missed that one. Oh, you know
It's a neat
why? I was
battery.
traveling.
It's a neat battery. It's got Zeekr automotive cells. Chinese Zeekr is a vehicle out of China. It's got those cells in it. They are prismatic blade cells. They're the gold wrapped ones. Really nice cells that are in it. Good build.
Huh. I'm I'm still having problems learning how to do this. There's got to be a trick to it. This is the video I think he's referring to here. Going to learn to use the software if it kills me. That one.
There you go. Yep. Review of a HumSync 48 volt 150 amp hour with a 200 amp BMS gauge.
So that's the 200 amp hour. I like the fact that they're starting to put these double terminals on these big batteries. This is so useful. It is so useful. That was one of the feedbacks I gave on that 280 amp hour metal case battery. If that thing had 2 battery terminals, it would be the perfect 12 volt battery.
Yep.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. Got to get through these questions before more of them pile up. And there we go. It's a beast inside.
Yep.
All right. Well, Mike, I think we should wrap this up unless you've got something special else you want to talk about. If there's anything you want to mention about your channel, go ahead.
You know, it's a lot smaller than yours is. Hopefully, I'll catch up one of these days. You have a fantastic channel, and thank you for inviting me to this.
Well, it was a pleasure having you. I appreciate it. And maybe you can come back again sometime, and I will definitely join your forum and post some content and stuff out there for you, and I can join some of those conversations if you don't mind having a friendly competitor there. I guess competitor, really isn't the right word.
Not competitor.
Yeah, I don't think it. I think there's different styles for everyone. So, Jeff, you were more than welcome. We had fun. But I'll join you, and I think we both got some good lineup of content coming out, and I appreciate I appreciate you following up on being here, because it was probably wouldn't have happened for a while if you hadn't shown up last week at the thing. I've got so many darn videos in the works.
Yeah, it was an absolute blast being on.
Yeah, it was, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I don't have any of my fireworks or anything this week, but I am going to take a look at how many subscribers we have, because I want to be able to go back and look at all my live streams and see how many we had. So let's see how many it is. It is 22,169. I don't remember what it was last week, but it was considerably lower than that, if I remember correctly.
Amazing.
And I appreciate it all, guys. If it wasn't for you, neither one of us would be here. We enjoy the heck out of you. We hope, and I sincerely hope that you start watching Mike's channel, join his forum. I don't think I have a competitive bone in my body when it comes to things like this. I'm here because of one of the biggest in the block, the biggest guy in the block doing it and encouraging me to do it. So I'm glad to have Mike here, and he claims his channel isn't as big, but his videos claim otherwise. He's got a great set of viewers over there also. So I'm glad to have him, and I will be glad to continue our friendship going forward, and maybe at some point we'll meet at some trade show or something. We'll do some real videos together. That would be fun. But I'm sure this will not be the last thing we do together. I know I'm planning to go to RE this year, but I don't know if there's anything on our side of the country that we can go to or do together. But we'll find something one way or another.
Yep.
And of course, I've got all kinds of different shows all over the place I'll be going to. I've been ramping up a good schedule on them. I was at one this weekend, demonstrating the new keep your refrigerator running little solar system for newbies and stuff like that. And it did fantastic. I talked to a bunch of people out there. It was just fantastically fun. So hopefully I'll be in an area or somewhere, I'll post those, and hopefully I'll be in an area where I can meet some more of you guys. That was a tremendous amount of fun. I really enjoy it. And I've got a series coming out with a full online class about RV systems with very specific class for it, not just a couple of videos about it. And then there'll be a small cabin system also. So that will be the trio that I will be taking to the trade shows going forward. So, all right. Anything else, Mike?
No, that's
Thank you.
it.
I really
Once
appreciate
again, absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it was absolute pleasure. It was absolute fun. And to all of you watching, thank you. We appreciate it. You're wonderful. You're awesome people. And if you have any questions or anything, I know that on my website, mattmansolar / gosh, what is it? Yeah, you got me wondering. My parts list is, mattmansolar.com/start. And it has all of my different builds, all the different equipment for all of my builds and everything going on. And I usually keep the live stream updated. I honestly don't know if I did the live stream update this week or not. Did I do it last week when we were talking? No, I didn't. It still says solar math from last week. Oops. But that's okay. We had an awesome show anyway. So we will see everybody next week when we will do something cool and fun. If you have any ideas, send them over. I'll be glad to entertain them. I have no idea what I'm going to do next week. I usually don't know until about an hour after I get done here. And then I'm thinking, oh, that's a good idea. Or somebody writes me an email and says, hey, I want you to do this. And I'm thinking, wow, that's cool too. All right, guys. Thank you. And thank you. We enjoyed you also. Petavan, thank you. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.